right, guys, I'm going to start it.
Let's do it. Push that button.
You're listening to Squatch Talks Podcast. Real stories and real encounters told by real researchers. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to Squatch Talks Podcast.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Better and better. Got a guest tonight. Joining us is Mike Luci from CARC. That stands for the Catskill Appalachian Research Collective. Right, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Did I get it right? That's it's almost as bad as NASBRO. We're trying to explain what the hell that is.
We usually stay away from outright saying CARC. We normally just say CARC, but for the most part you nailed it though. So
okay, thank you. So CARC, and Mike is one of the founders of that organization, I believe. Yes. And was on a podcast, right, that we were supposed to be guests on. Never made the connection, but Behind Tall Trees. So be sure to go on and check out Behind Tall Trees on YouTube and on podcasts. And is currently involved in a new project, which we're going to let him talk about. But we want to welcome Mike to the show.
So I definitely appreciate you guys. Definitely appreciate you guys having me on the show. I'm a long-time listener of you guys' podcast. So it's great to be on here to talk some Squatch with you guys. So basically on our YouTube channel, CARC Universal, we recently launched a new web series called This Week In Bigfoot. And basically the angle is it's pretty much just like a weekly newscast. We scourge the internet. We pick 30 minutes worth of the hottest, most intriguing, prevalent Bigfoot related stories out there. And we pretty much condense all of them into individual 2 to 3 minute segments. So we pretty much try to simulate your quintessential 6 o'clock news. 6 o'clock news.
Very good.
Nice.
So we're about we got two episodes out. They're doing really, really well so far. We got a third one coming out this Friday.
Right.
So So I think what we're going to try to do is just once a week, Thursday, Friday, at the end of the week, to review everything. We'll come out with a quick 30-minute episode. It's definitely a great project to get started on, and
absolutely.
Build up especially during these winter months too. When it's so difficult to get out in the field. So just new way to get new way to get our news out to our viewers, keep them informed, and the feedback's been great so far with that.
We'll definitely have to check it out. Nathan has said to me that podcasting is a wintertime sport.
100%.
It is.
Well,
once it gets warm out, then I don't like to come in the house. So
but during the warmer weather, right, when you are more apt to be out and about in the forest, we can do what we talked about, doing in the past, is getting out there with camera crew and filming us in action, right?
There you go.
So we can still keep the material coming.
Yeah, definitely.
And stay charged with our friends from Black Rifle Coffee Company. Gotta pay the bills.
So tell us more about CARC.
So we're definitely a relatively new group. It originally got started by 3 individuals. Brendan Brown, he's like he's our video editing guru, kind of like our director. We have Chuck Larson is kind of like our PR guy, goes to all the conferences and stuff like that, does a lot of our network and everything like that. And then we have Sean. He's kind of our paranormal guy, a bit of our tech guru. And then we have Gwen. Both Sean and Gwen, they're out in Central PA. Gwen's really been a great addition to the team, just another pair of eyes out in the field. She lives by one location that we've been researching. She's had a lot of weird experiences at her house from ghosts. She apparently had an alleged sighting literally right across the street from her house. So she's in a really good area. But that's pretty much the group. Brendan's up in the Catskills. I'm down in Southern New York. Charlie's in Sussex, New Jersey. Gwen and Sean are out in Central PA. So we're kind of well spread out in that Catskill. That Catskill Appalachian, I guess, hence the name.
Right.
You're not far from our friend Brian, right?
Yeah.
So
Brian's up in Dutchess County. I'm literally only 50 something odd minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
Away from Dutchess. Yeah, I think I'm only 50 minutes away from this one lake up there.
Mm-hmm,
I don't.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I should disclose the name, but yeah.
We try not to do certain locations, keep them a
Mm-hmm.
little more sensitive to preserve the integrity, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
Although I gave away No Name Lake, blabbing about BC, but how many of our viewers are going to be going there, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we've been on a couple. Yeah, like we mostly do a lot of our field work. Our organized expeditions, mostly just us. We don't do anything with the public just yet. But
Mm-hmm.
mostly out in the spots in central PA. Columbia County,
Nice.
that area. Like Bald Eagle State Forest. We've done some stuff in the Delaware Water Gap. We've gone to Allegheny, out in
Wow.
Western PA. We're doing some stuff. We're doing some stuff upstate New
I'd love
York.
to get back out there with you.
Where at Allegheny?
Allegheny, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'm dying to get back there. It sucks. It's 5 hours away.
It's 15 years since I've been there.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah, and actually, it's Allegheny back in October 2020. It's probably where we got our most compelling piece of audio evidence. It was on our second night, around 3 a.m. So we had two groups. It was me and Derek. He was the guy who was filming me while I was doing my thing, and then Brendan and Sean. They were another group. So Brendan and Sean, they were on this fire road, and they dropped me and Derek off about a few miles back. We just walked up this trail, set up shop. So we were maybe about a mile. So the two groups were maybe about a mile, 2 miles away from each other. It was about 3 a.m. and Brendan and Sean, they were they were call blasting, and they did a call. And about a minute afterwards, they captured these really, really weird, bizarre, eerie howls on video. We ran them through the spectrograph. The signatures don't look nothing like coyotes or anything avian or anything like that. We sent them to what's it called in PA? Fish and Wildlife or Fish and Game? I know it's something called in every state, but yeah, we sent it to them in PA. They said they had no idea. They had no idea what they were. David Ellis of the Olympic Project said, they possess those unique qualities that.
Right.
You kind of like that. They kind of look for there at the Olympic Project. So.
Right.
I don't want to say that I don't want to say it's like I don't want to say it was a Bigfoot, but
it was Bigfoot.
I'm kind of saying I think it is. Yeah. What I can tell you, it definitely wasn't it definitely wasn't like a coyote or anything like that. Definitely wasn't anything avian. But today we still have no idea what they were and what those sounds were, and those are probably definitely the most bizarre, bizarre
vocalizations, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
that we've captured.
And is that included in the ones that you sent me in the email? Okay.
Yeah, the attachment's the sugar on howl.
So maybe we can play that for our viewers, and if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And include it in the episode. They love to hear that type of stuff, So I'm going to bring up this audio file you sent me from the Sugar Mountain.
Yep.
And see if we can't play that for our listeners and see what they think. Wow.
Pretty
That ain't no
interesting stuff,
coyote.
huh? Yeah. I played it on I don't know if you know who Steve, I'm sure you know who Steve Coles is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was on his
The
podcast
Squatch detective.
yes, sir. I was on his podcast a couple of months ago when I played it, and one of the people in the video commented, they were like, "Yeah, that's not a coyote. I was a coyote wrangler for like 15 years, and they don't make a sound like that."
And they'll often chime in, a Squatch will set them off. Like we'll get a response to one of our provocations and we'll hear, the reply. And then sometimes the coyotes will join in. They did it on New York. They did it in New Jersey, North Jersey, and in PA. Remember, Nate, when that happened?
Yeah.
So often they're going to be some chiming in from the yotes, but I don't know. That thing was going off, man.
Yeah, and it just sounded
at the beginning. Was that a knock with it, or was that one of you guys making a like bumping something?
It's funny you should ask, because you know what, Nathan? I know for a fact that Minagi Hila, if he listens to it, will pick up on it, because he always seems to find those hidden knocks, because he uses, like Mike said, the spectrograph. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't hear it. I heard initially some like footsteps, because it sounded like when you got the vocalization, somebody was like, you know what I mean? Like, wow. And it was raining too.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounded like it was raining.
Yeah, so like I like if anything, that's probably the first thing I would think any of those alleged knocks or footsteps might have been probably just like the rain pitter-pattering on the mic. But
and that does make it really difficult to decipher a knock if you've got rain pelting the microphone.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's all these things we have against us, though. It makes it tough.
Yeah, it always seems to happen too when interesting like that stuff happens.
Yeah, but that's compelling, man. That's really cool. So that's
like the interesting part about it too was I originally wanted us to go on the North Country Trail that night. So like, for people who don't know, the North Country Trail, it's basically like the Appalachian Trail of the northern United States. It starts in the Adirondacks. It goes all the way west to I think North Dakota, one of the Dakotas, North Dakota or South Dakota, and part of it cuts through Allegheny National Forest. And we were like literally right there by one of the trailheads. But Brendan pretty much said like, "Yo, we have these fire roads here. They go like miles deep into the forest. They're still near the trail. Like it's probably going to be really high traffic this time of year. So anything that's in the area is probably not going to be directly on the trail, but if they're moving parallel to it, they're probably going to be nearby." So we found this whole network of fire roads. They took us like, I think at that spot we were like 5-6 miles in. So we were like miles away from the nearest house, the nearest paved two-way road. It was kind of like, for context, it was like the northern Allegheny, like the northern part of the national forest, kind of closer to like the New York PA border. It was south of Bradford, PA.
That's where you were.
Yeah, the
northern part. Okay.
Yeah, in I think it was McKean County, I think is the name of the county. Wow. But that's like kind of like the area we were in. I know we posted a video just pretty much breaking down everything that happened, and we actually show like the exact location that we were. So if you guys ever make your way up there to Allegheny, you could literally like go there and visit the spot yourself if you wanted to.
Yeah, I had my encounter further south, south of the Kinzua Dam area.
Yeah. That's where Finding Bigfoot went, right, when they did the European episode. Yeah.
And they had gone to that railroad bridge that was destroyed by the high winds, right? And they made an observation tower out of the one side, and they did call blasting from up above, while they had a team down below with the therm, hoping to pick up on something.
They used the whale calls in that episode, I think, or like the whale songs. Yeah, that was interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'd like to go there just to get the view from that landing.
Oh, for sure. And it's ironic too. That weekend when we went out there, we were originally going to focus, because like you go out to the Allegheny region, everyone always focuses on Allegheny National Forest, and rightfully so, because it's probably like the biggest Bigfoot hotspot in Pennsylvania.
Right.
And but like what a lot of people don't realize is the Allegheny National Forest, it actually spills into New York, where it becomes Allegheny State Park. And there have been there have been sightings on the New York side of that greenway. So we originally wanted to focus on doing our investigation on the New York side of Allegheny, but I figured, since Allegheny National Forest is right there, let's just do our obligatory one night visit, and lo and behold, that's what wound up happening to us at 3 a.m. there. So
Nice.
That's
awesome, man.
Definitely did a huge.
So always a good idea to go driving around in there.
Yeah.
And that was only a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, that was October 2020.
2020. Yeah.
Yeah. So our group only it was only a few months since we started doing expeditions and stuff like that when that happened. So
cool.
Yeah, I guess we were pretty lucky in that. We were pretty lucky in that regard.
Yeah, and
that's really what it is, though. You got to be at the right place at the right time.
Wasn't 2020 when we got the howls from our last night ops on your expedition in PA? That was 2020 also.
Was it?
I believe so. My calendar challenged mine, but
I don't remember.
It might have been 21. I don't know.
I know it was around. Actually, no, I think it was.
It was 21.
Yeah, there you go. It's got proof right on his shirt. So the following year, he made his way down to southeastern PA.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And blessed us with some really cool howls, which we got.
I've
already disclosed the location, so
yeah. I mean, southeast PA is pretty broad, pretty vast. So
no, I gave specific details when we discussed the PA expedition on our Pennsylvania expedition, which I'll put a little card up here in the corner. There you go.
Yeah,
in case you want to check that out. It was pretty exciting, the results we got in PA. But hey, speaking of expeditions, Mike, you came on. What was your first expedition that you got into this?
You know what? Funny you mentioned it. My first expedition was actually hosted by you. Back in 2016. Back in 2016, South
Pine
Jersey.
Barrens.
Yep, Pine Barrens. Yeah, that's where I met. That's where I met you, Brian, Rusty, Mike Young, who I'm still really good friends with, Heather. Nate was there. It was a really great time. I remember nothing really too crazy happened, but it really gave me an idea of what Squatching
Right.
was about, how it gets operated, and everything like that. So it was.
You had the Jeep, right?
I did. I had the Jeep that I had issues. I had issues it wouldn't start randomly.
Yeah, but
and it was
aside from that, though, you were Jeep camping, if I recall. You didn't bring a tent, right? Didn't you camp out in your Jeep a lot?
No, I started doing that on the Southern New York expedition.
Okay, and I'm getting confused too. I get them jumbled together.
Yeah, I started doing that on the Southern New York expedition. And again, I know a lot of people. I know a lot of the hardcore campers frown on that, but my figuring is it's a car. Number one, you're going to be dry in there. I hate waking up in my tent and just the entire inner coating of inner walls of the tent are lined with condensation. And number two, the car locks. So.
True, but I don't frown on it as long as there's no engine running noise to keep somebody warm inside. You know what I mean? If it's in the warmer weather and you have the car off, hey, you got a good opportunity for a Squatch to come up and look through the glass at you, hey, what are you doing, Mike? Right? So I don't have a problem with that. It's when somebody needs to have either the AC or the heat running that I would frown upon it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
On that first expedition, though, we did find the tracks that I'm displaying in my case behind me. So that's why I'm confusing if it was on you, because
I don't know if I was there for that. I don't know if I was there for that particular.
I think you were on the second Pine Barrens expedition. That's what it was. And on that one, we had a thermal, but it was at 3 a.m. and the guy
on the last night. Yep.
Yeah. And they didn't know how to push the button.
Yep.
That happens all the time,
Yeah.
But
yeah, because I remember I came back from our night ups that Saturday. You guys were still out, and this was back when my family, we had our place down Wildwood.
Right.
My family was still down there, so I'm you know what, I'm awake. It's only an hour away. Forget. I'm just gonna shoot that. Yeah, I'm just gonna shoot down there.
No doubt. And that was the night, that same night, I think, that Nathan and I were doing our thing with the sending out good energy. We had taken the ladies with us. And we went to a different little satellite camp, and we were just trying to sit there and send out positive thoughts, and Nathan and I took a hike and left the ladies sitting back at this little satellite base camp. and we thought we had something like paralleling us for a little while on our hike, if you recall. I don't know. Again, Nathan, there's so many of them now. It's like it's hard to remember what happened when, But that one I do remember, because when Mike mentioned you were on it, you weren't on my first expedition.
Yeah.
You're on the second one. Yeah. So,
and that's like really the unique thing about the Pine Barrens. If you hear something like that, if you hear something like paralleling you or moving through the woods, that like you could tell just by hearing it, it's big. Like I know there's like a piss ton of deer down the Pine Barrens, but like correct me if I'm wrong, there really aren't that many apex predators down there, right? Like you probably get
nothing big.
Yeah, you get the occasional bear every now and then, maybe the bobcat, a couple of coyotes, I think, but otherwise. And in my, like considering too, you see like how vast the Pine Barrens is, like people think New Jersey, they don't think it's home to such a, like vast,
diverse,
remote stretch of wilderness like that. So you have that, the lack of apex predators, all the places to hide, and like the huge deer population. It really does make it like a really ideal environment for something like a Sasquatch to be able to thrive in without being detected.
And even Cliff Barrickman, when they were here filming that episode in South Jersey Sasquatch episode of Finding Bigfoot, he was doing his solo camping thing, and he was blown away by all the food source and the water source and the ground cover. He actually heard some of the best howls that he's ever heard, he said, at 4 a.m. at this location.
I remember that part of the episode. Yep.
And speaking of Cliff, I might as well bring this up. I had a package arrive today, which I might do a little reel on the unboxing. But this is a latest addition to our track casting collection.
Ooh.
This is from Walla Walla, Washington.
Oh wow!
It's just fun to say Walla Walla, Washington.
That's a bit of a tongue twister. That's like a Sally sells, she sells.
Yeah, look at that mid-tarsal break.
I was gonna say, wow.
Is that awesome? This thing weighs a ton, man.
How many inches is that?
It's 14 and a half.
Jeez.
It's not huge, but it's freaking heavy.
You can see the
detail. Look at the detail.
That mid-tarsal break too is just.
You can see the toes.
Yeah, you could see.
One,
like
two.
Yep, you could see how like they're spaced out and stuff like that.
They're splayed. Yep. Beautiful cast. I'll tell you, this is beautiful.
That's definitely one of the.
It's my new favorite, and it's a Dr. Jeff Meldrum cast.
There you go.
Oh, really? Wow.
And he just was our guest last week, Mike. So, hey, you got big shoes to fill on this episode, okay?
Oh, man, that's a lot of pressure. I would have pushed it back a week or two if I knew I was following up, Dr. Jeff Meldrum. Oh, geez.
That's why I didn't tell you until just now.
That's why I just...
I got to be really careful. That was so heavy. These are glass shells.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, my God. Imagine if it tilts over,
Yep, and that won't be the only thing that'll cause like a whole chain reaction.
And I added a little case today. Finally, I've had the case, but I didn't have the stand for it. So now I got some new spot. So it's not all shoved together on that one. And the next thing that's coming is the Gigantopithecus blackie jawbone that I ordered.
You should put that right on top of that cabinet right there.
On top of this one?
Yeah,
I thought I would put it in and then move these down,
Oh, yeah.
That'll be the showcase item.
That looks
I think,
good too.
I didn't get the skull. The whole skull, they wanted like $495 for the skull.
Jeez.
So I said to Heather, you can get that for me for Christmas.
There you go.
How's Heather doing, by the way?
Oh, she's awesome. She's great.
Awesome.
As soon as the ring went on, she said, honey, I don't think I really enjoy this bigfooting thing anymore,
Really?
But nice. I'm kidding. She's always encouraging, like, hey, you want to go out in the woods? So,
that's awesome.
And we'll be going out tomorrow night, as a matter of fact. I'm going to meet up with Jacob, who you haven't met, but he was on our recent Pine Barrens expedition, and he and I have been doing some research in an area that's had some activity. And Art is going to hopefully join us. And we may have a special guest joining us as well from the episode of Finding Bigfoot. So, I'm not sure if I should name any names because it was a poacher. If anyone remembers the
Okay.
poacher who was hunting illegally and admitted it on national TV. Love you, Phil.
You can bleep that part out.
Hey, he doesn't
Yep.
care. He's already getting banned. He's getting in Facebook jail right now as we speak, probably.
That's great. That's amazing.
Yeah, he's going to be in town. So I said, hey, we should all get together. It'd be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're.
Go
ahead, Nate. Sorry.
I just wanted to know, see if you wanted to tell us any of the best. Was that the best story you have for being out squatching, or do you have any other good stories to tell us?
Yeah. So just to clarify, when we got those howls in Allegheny, I actually wasn't physically there at the time. I was like a mile away in another location. Our night was very boring. We only heard like a screech owl throughout the entire night. Like it was so boring. It didn't even rain out by us. Out by us compared to where they were. But yeah, as far as like other experiences go, like I'm not as fortunate enough, as Eric, Eric's been. I haven't like actually seen anything yet. Okay. I've gotten some, I've heard some weird stuff. I've heard some weird stuff in like North Jersey, PA. One story I actually love to tell is before my first Southern New York expedition, about like shortly after the Southern Jersey expedition I did with you guys. This is my second BFRO expedition. Like a couple of weeks before, I wound up getting up early. I just went on like a solo hike around like the area that we were investigating. And I was along the hopefully this doesn't like give away too much, but I was along the Appalachian Trail. It was around like 8 a.m. and I came to like this little clearing where it's kind of like a primitive camping site along the Appalachian Trail. So I sat out on like a rock that was situated in front of the fire ring, and I had my backpack in front of me. And as I reached in to grab something, to grab a bottle of water for my backpack, I heard to the left of me, clear as day, like a distinct wood hitting wood. And it was one of those things like, sometimes you hear a sound, it's so like it's loud enough where you can kind of like feel it going through you, the vibrations. That's kind of what happened to me when I heard this like one single, like this one knock. And I remember like I froze and I was just like, whoa. Was that what I thought it was? Was that what I really wanted it to be? And afterwards, I looked on Google Earth, and the direction it came from, it was pretty much just like forest, and then like the steep ass ridge line, and just like more forest keep on going back. I was probably about a quarter mile away from the nearest road, and it was like this dinky ass dirt road.
Right.
It was even a paved two-way road. So, I was in like a decently secluded spot when that happened. It happened around like 8 a.m. So, that was one of the experiences that stuck with me.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Out in the BFRO expeditions, I know one of the Southern New York expeditions, we got a couple of possible wood knocks, everything like that. So, that was really cool. Back in June, the spot out in central PA in Columbia County that we've been investigating, our first night there, this was pretty weird. So literally within like the first 90 minutes, these, three really weird events occurred. So we went to like so it was a state game land. I'll just like break down the situation. It was at a state game land. We got there by around maybe like 11:30 midnight. We got there pretty late. And we basically took this fire road up this hill. So we had like a whole convoy. We had there like 9 or 10 of us. So we pretty much split up into like 3 teams. So we had one team go to like this one clearing, about half mile down the road. We drop off our second team at another clearing, and then me and Brendan, we were like, we were like the last team to go down to the furthest clearing. We could have gone further, but there was like a gate that they keep open or closed half the year. It happened to be closed since it was hunting season. So that, that was the farthest we'd go with the cars. But our spot, we were about 2 miles away from the nearest paved road, about a mile away from the nearest house. And we weren't even there for maybe like 20, 30 minutes. Coming from like this one direction, we just hear this like prolonged, deep groan like howl. And it pretty much came from a direction. It was kind of like perpendicular to this fire road we were all laid out on. And not only did all three teams hear it, but we captured it on multiple different audio recorders.
Oh,
and afterwards, to your point on what we were talking about earlier with the coyotes chimed in afterwards. So when we ran this vocalization on the spectrograph, just like, the distinctions between that signature it made and the coyote signatures were like night and day. I actually sent that to you. I sent that to you as well, Eric, if you want to if you want to play it for the viewers.
That's what I was looking for, just as you said that, Mike. But and which one would that be?
So I think it's SGL 58 June 4th.
Okay, got it. June 4th.
Yeah.
58. Yep. So you know what I'm going to try to do for our listeners and see if we can try something new here, since I'm still learning about all this editing stuff. I'm going to switch my microphone for one moment. Bear with me.
I'll pick it up.
And I'm going to try to play it for my other microphone and see if we can all listen to it together. How does that sound?
Let's do it.
While you're doing that,
Yes.
I have to apologize, but my head is hurting so freaking bad having these headphones on is squeezing my melon.
Oh, I know.
If it's okay with you, I'm gonna bolt.
You gonna bail?
If I really feel terrible, my head is just pounding.
I'm sorry you don't feel good, brother.
Yeah.
Go take 2 Tylenol.
I'm gonna take. I already took 2 before we started, and it's just getting worse.
Well, if two's good, 4's got to be better.
That's right.
Hey,
Mike,
thanks for hanging in there.
Yeah, great talking to you, Mike. And,
yeah, you as well.
We'll get together again.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for squatching.
That's my guy. Love you.
Love you too, guys. See ya.
Take it easy, Nate.
All right, we're going to listen to the one from June 4th, you said, right?
Yep.
This one. Okay. That's the coyotes chiming in, I think, right? Wow. Yeah, I can definitely hear what sounds like a really high-pitched scream howl, right? But then you do hear what sounds like the coyotes chiming in alongside, and then it kind of goes back, I think, to the individual who's making those vocalizations.
And it's just, the reason why I'm glad too that the coyotes were able to chime in is just because, like I said, if you run this on the spectrograph, you'll be able to see just like, the vast distinctions between, the unknown signature and the coyote signature, just like between just like the signature itself and the, the frequencies that they're at. This, I think, came in at a much lower frequency, 500 to 700. The coyote ones were like around 900, 1,000, because coyotes, they sound more yippy.
Yeah, they do.
When they howl. This though was just very much lower pitch, more boisterous, I think.
Well, like I said, I'm glad you shared it with us because we talked about this before. I think it's important for other research groups and other researchers to be, working together towards the common goal, right?
Yeah,
Of
100%.
of trying to learn more about these elusive creatures, and by keeping things to ourselves, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna, with your permission, forward it to our guy Monongahela,
Yeah, I
who's,
love that.
I think, one of the
Mhm.
the top analysts, in the biz, and see what
Especially
he has to say, because he really did some really great analysis on the vocalizations I recorded
when,
up in North Jersey. Our friend Kevin, may he rest, sent it to Monongahela, and the reply we got was just amazing.
yeah,
Like,
definitely.
ah, so and just knowing, you know, Kevin knows the answers to all this stuff now,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, holding out on us. Rest in peace.
but I'll tell you what, that was some of the greatest vocalizations that we got here in Jersey. And I know, I mentioned the ones we got up on Nathan's expedition, right, 2 years ago. Blew me away, and I was totally unprepared for it because we
Yeah.
literally hadn't even gotten to our location yet, where I just stopped the group and I was like, okay, let's set up a base camp. And within a minute, we got these 3 calls unsolicited.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, and it was crazy. I don't know. Did I not send you those?
No. Yeah, I don't think I forgot those. I'd love to
I'll
hear them
shoot you
though.
that link because
Definitely.
it's unbelievable, and there were no coyotes chiming in.
That's
The
wow.
funny thing was, though, this is, here I am, the leader of this team that
Mhm.
night. I leave my camp chair in the truck. I didn't turn on my recorder, my digital recorder, like I always teach everybody to
Yep.
do, right? I didn't have my snacks open, so we're setting up this little base camp on the trail, and I go like this with my pretzels, and they fly up in the air. I'm picking up pretzels, and the first howl comes from across the ravine, and it's like so perfect. I mean, loud and just beautiful. And I scramble and I get one recorder on, then I'm reaching for the other one, and I get the second and the
Right.
third howl. And I look over at Jeff Shepard, from
Yeah.
Massachusetts, and I'm like, "Hey, Jeff, you've got your recorder on, right?" He's like, "Well, yes, Eric, because you've always taught me that I turn it on when we get out of
Yeah.
it." I'm like, whew. And then we find out afterwards his had a glitch. It didn't work. So
And
I was
it's
lucky. I got 2 out of 3.
it's so weird too how a lot of like obviously a lot of skeptics say like, oh, it's like it's an excuse or whatever, but it's just so weird how often you hear about um technology, cameras,
Failing.
recorders, spectrographs, whatever, just like failing in the field.
And
The thing.
speaking of that, Mike, you were talking about your show, right? The This Week in Bigfoot that you're starting, right? Didn't you say that maybe you guys were going to be discussing what just took place in southern New Jersey recently with the Man
It's
of Light?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that actually. I took your advice, I gave in, and I actually wound up watching the whole video. And that's actually one of the segments we're going to be covering for next week's show. And
Cool.
same thing with him. He supposedly took these photos of black figure. He said he tried he tried filming with it, but of course his camera didn't work.
Of course.
I even hung in there when he started talking about the 10 foot tall face that was protecting him from the Bigfoot on the other side of the tracks. I even managed to hang on through that.
So
So,
tell
but
me, you saw that, right? You did see
mhm,
the face, okay? And to me, that looks like pareidolia, as we call it, right?
mhm,
And that's what happens. I don't know the quality of the equipment he's using,
mhm,
but that's what happens usually when you have an image that's blown up, right? But there
yep,
is some type of what looks like a big ghostly Bigfoot face
mhm,
above the tracks to the right. Now, again,
yeah,
I don't want to spoil it for any of your viewers, okay?
mhm,
So, but I had a customer of mine bring this to my attention the other day, and he goes out to get his phone. He wants to show me, right, Michael? His name's Michael too. And so, he's always thrilled to share these things with me. And I'm trying to explain to him, like, I think that this is what we call pareidolia. And
mhm,
it's because the mind can picture things, right, that it sees in these photographs and in
yeah.
videos and things, right? And so, yeah, it's hard to say. I try not to put anybody down ever, and to make them sound like they're incorrect or silly or whatever the case is. But and I made this point with you. I said, isn't it funny how the Bigfoot was able to jam his video equipment, but not his cell phone camera?
Yeah. And he was going on saying how, Bigfoot don't like to be photographed. Well, why is this happening to the camera that just takes video when? But here's my thing. Well, so there's two things about that really just, I don't want to say give the benefit of the doubt, but definitely make me like acknowledge that you could potentially give them the benefit of the doubt for these things.
Okay.
You have these, you have a lot of these serial posters, you have a lot of these, I guess, serial witnesses, I guess you could call them, who are always
right.
pointing out, like these weird ass blobs or pareidolik images and the pictures or video that they take. Sometimes they claim, they see the figure like, Man of Light did. Other times they claim to like notice the stuff after the matter. And, not 99% of the time, you could probably dismiss this stuff just based on merit alone, or factors like you mentioned, pareidolia, or just like even like if you want to trip forward, you take this up with a grain of salt. My thing is, well, what if those extraordinarily rare select instances happen where these sons of bitches actually got lucky and they actually might have captured the real thing?
Yeah.
And here's one reason I give that the benefit of the doubt. So like the internet's it's filled, in terms of Bigfoot or cryptid, it's filled with all these blurry images, people saying people had shown like a still. Yeah, people showing like like a photo of like trees or a still from like the forest, and like, oh, you look here, that's a big, like you look here, you see the Bigfoot's face, then you see another one here, and then you see, a dog man peeking out from that rock, and they use the red circles and the yellow arrows. I'm not specifically talking about people who, film something and they go back later and notice stuff. I'm talking about people who actually like, claim that they saw something when they were there in person. But the best they have to show for is like this like dinky ass blob. I think one reason why you could potentially give people like that potentially give them benefit of the doubt is because in actuality, even like like the latest smartphones and cameras right now, the amount of detail they retain is less than 1/10 of what the human eye sees. Like, for context, if the human eye was a camera, we would be able to see in up to like 500. It would be able to capture images in up to, I think, 576 megapixels.
Wow.
I think the most, like the iPhone 14, that's the latest smartphone. I think the most megapixels its camera goes, it's at either 50 or 80. So it's literally a fraction of what
our brains can do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So
amazing.
So sometimes when I see some of these blobs or blurry images where they're pointing out potential humanoid figures and stuff like that, part of me thinks, oh, it could just be them like showing us what they want to see. But like I would have liked to be there and actually see this with my own eyes and see what detail my eyes would see at that spot that the cameras don't pick up. So
yeah, and that goes back though to what I'm saying though, be that as it may, and if that were the case, that indeed this individual had the ability to jam his recording equipment, his video camera, where is the true follow-up on it though? Where is the before and after? You know what I mean? Like, how come somebody didn't go back with him then and try to recreate, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The images, even if it's just still photos. Like, okay, mark the area where you were when this happened. Have somebody go down to where you think the individual was and get a size comparison for us at least. That's good research, I think.
I'll go back to those train tracks and see if that black figure is still there.
That's what I'm saying. So go back around the same time of day, so that sunlight and the lighting is about the same as it was then, and try to do a recreation. That's what we should do.
Yeah,
I think. And by the way, since we're just recording this,
Yeah.
it's not going to air till Saturday, so we're not going to ruin anything for your viewers who are
Oh
tuning in
yeah, of course not.
Friday for
Mhm.
This Week in Bigfoot.
Yeah, of course not.
I just wanted to point
Yeah.
that out.
Definitely.
I just remembered, hey,
Yeah.
no spoiler alert necessary.
Yeah. Well, except for the
But-
bonus content.
Yeah.
Yep.
But however, Man of Light, again, I don't really know who he is. I know what area he works in. It's outside of my research area.
Yeah.
So I have no problem with him doing his thing. It's just I don't like you said, there's so many people out there nowadays doing all this clickbait, trying to get, views and likes and whatever. And posting stuff that's just hokey, and I think it gives the rest of us a bad name.
Yeah, and that's one of my issues with, I mean, like, obviously, like, nothing's proven, nothing's certain about, what the Bigfoot phenomenon is. And, obviously we all have, we're all rightful to our own opinions, but it's just, we've touched on this before. I know, you and I, you and I were both primarily like flesh and, I guess they're close.
F&B, baby.
Yep. Flesh and blooders. And my issue with, the woo camp, the people who think Bigfoot has supernatural qualities, or, like this guy thinks they're hopping in and out of portals, or they're aliens or ghosts, or, whatever other, super, narratives the woo crowd has. What I don't like, my biggest concern is these people primarily use it just, as a form of wishful thinking. They kind of use it as like a plug-in to fill in any of those details that they can't readily explain. They can't pragmatically explain. Like, there's probably like a physical explanation for it, a way to scientifically explain it, but it's either we either haven't really quite figured it out yet, or you could explain it, they just don't want to go through like the research and effort and stuff like that. It's a lot easier to say, oh, well, Bigfoot's supernatural, it, hop into its portal or something like that. Like, if I could go on a rant here for a quick second, like I'll give you an example. When you have a witness, they say, oh yeah, I saw a Bigfoot for X amount of minutes, but it just disappeared behind a tree or something like that, just vanished into thin air. They'll probably, they might rationalize that by saying, oh, well, maybe it's a supernatural entity or interdimensional entity or something like that. That's why it just vanished like that. In reality, though, there could be a scientific explanation that explains why, like, the witness saw what they saw the way they did and had, like, the type of encounter that they had. I think a lot of it goes to just, like how the human brain functions in instances like that. Because think about it. If you're a witness, especially if you're by yourself, maybe in the woods or something like that, and you see, this big hulking creature, from like a good enough distance where like, what it is, it's on 2 feet, you identify it as like a Bigfoot or something like that, something that's, that science and the media tells you isn't supposed to exist. Think about the feelings and emotions that, you're going to experience. Like, what do you think you're going to experience? Surprise, shock, fear, excitement,
right?
And all these emotions. So basically, when these emotions are triggered, it kind of starts with this whole sequence in your brain. So emotions like that. So like when emotions like that get triggered, they're controlled by a part of our brain called the amygdala. I don't know. I might fuck up the pronunciation, everything like that. But yeah, that pretty much controls. Our emotions and like that. So when those emotions are triggered, they our adrenal, our adrenal glands, they release hormones that fill our brain. Yeah, endorphins, adrenaline, dopamine. There's another one, I forgot the name. And especially in cases of extreme emotions like excitement, fear, and things like that, what those hormones do is they pretty much shut down or pause your cerebral cortex. That's the front part of your brain. It's pretty much like your command center for your rational thinking, things like that. So that part of the brain gets paused, and in its place, the amygdala comes in, which controls your emotions and pretty much runs the show, while the cerebral cortex of your brain is shut down. So in essence, you're processing things, and the decisions you make afterwards, it's pretty much controlled by your emotions. It's pretty much controlled by your emotions, not by the part of your brain that controls your rational thinking. So that's why people might, freeze or, probably do things that they might not ordinarily do, or that, people in this field who have, their protocols on what witnesses should do or expectations about evidence, they might not do things that, they would expect them to do. So that's kind of why when people tell their stories and you hear, like they get questioned, like for people like, oh, well, why didn't you take a cell phone? Why didn't you take a video or a photo? Or why did you take multiple videos? Or why don't you go back and, go for footprints or do this or do that? Like your mind's not the part of your brain that, might make you think, oh, why don't I do that and get this, and try and document this. It's not functioning properly at that time. So that's why I kind of like to give people like that benefit of the doubt if if their story sounds, if they sound credible enough.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. But at the same time, if you watch enough of some of their other material, you can generally kind of put together an idea of where they're coming from and where their belief systems are or their mindset. Sure. You know what I mean? And
I wasn't talking about the man. Like I was talking about just like your like everyday witness,
right?
Everyday, like everyday witness in general. Like like when people kind of question or find suspicious that they were frozen with fear or saw some a Bigfoot for that long, that much detail. Why they didn't why they don't think on their feet and whip out their camera and everything like that. That's kind of what what I was referring to. But
and we hear all the time from people, right? That why is it we don't have better photographs or videos with everybody carrying around cell phones in their pockets nowadays, right? With all, like you said, the iPhone 14 with the 50 or 80 megapixel thing. And how come we don't have better, photographic evidence or data? So the fact remains, we're not wildlife photographers, right?
Exactly.
I mean, come on. And the Bigfoot's not going to stand there and go, hey, Mike.
Yeah, it's not going to pose for you.
Hi, take my picture, and that just doesn't happen. These usually happen in a split second.
Yep.
The road crossing I had was in a matter of 2-3 seconds and it was gone, but,
and you got to think about this too, considering how the majority of Bigfoot sightings only last for a few seconds. First off, you see something like this, you're going to have like, you're going to go through like a bit of like shock. You're going to be, your heart's probably going to be racing. You might be sweating. You're probably going to be trembling. So then you have to reach for your phone, put in your password. You might be trembling while you're doing this, and
oh yeah,
those touchscreens could be a little funky every now and then. You
right?
you have to pull out your camera app, and then after you do that, you have to decide whether or not you want to do a video or a photograph. Then you have to zoom in and get the thing in focus. By the time you do that, it's gone.
And when it happened to me in BC on my final day of Rob's expedition, I was holding a digital camera in my hand, and I saw it and I went, I wasn't there. And I picked my hand up with the camera. I zoomed in with my left hand, took the picture, which of course, when you zoom with a cheap digital camera, it's going to pixelate it anyhow, right?
Yeah.
And then I turned around to take pictures over my shoulder. When I turned around again, it was gone, and I could kick myself, of course, like God. But again, being a newbie, really, at that point, I didn't know any better. So,
and what year was that it happened?
2009.
Oh yeah, back in 2009 too. A lot of those digital cameras, like they didn't even zoom immediately. Like you would press the zoom button, and it would wait like a second or two before. Yeah. Make that obnoxious whirring sound. Yeah.
But I did have the foresight at the time to take the after picture. So I did that, so I would be able to then compare the one that I thought I got with the one afterwards. And when I brought it up to Rob at base camp and I said, I think I saw a Sasquatch, we put the SD card in his laptop, and sure enough, he says, yeah, I think you saw a Sasquatch. So that one I count as my first one, even though it was only for a matter of seconds. I should have now paid more attention to it, and tried to get more details. But like you said, at that point, I didn't have like that fear or heart racing experience. I felt a wave of calm come over me, and the hairs on my arms stood up, right? And I just had that calm, and I wasn't, apprehensive. I mean, it was at least 70, 75 yards away up on the hill, so it wasn't an immediate threat. You know what I mean? I think that's also the difference. Like with Jacob, who I'll be going out with tomorrow. He was in the woods before daylight a few weeks ago, and he did some samurai chatter at a spot where another friend of ours heard some, right, back in April last year. And so something came up on him in the dark bipedally that sounded big, splashing through a little canal to get to where he is, right? And so he was fumbling with his phone, like you said, trying to get his phone on and get the flashlight out because he was feeling an imminent threat, you know? So, that was cool. So we're going to be going back out to this area tomorrow and continuing. We've been there a few times now, trying to see if we can gather more, research here.
Next time you guys go out, even especially if it's on like a Thursday, especially if it's on like a Thursday or Friday night or like a weekend. If you don't a couple days in advance, let me know. Like you're only 2 hours away from me, so
cool. Yeah, no, if you're willing to drive down, man.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Cool. No,
well, yeah, I'm always looking for people to go out with, because like where I live, like I'm in Westchester, like I'm literally above. I'm like 20 minutes away from New York City, nearest places for me are like 40, 50 minutes away.
Right.
So
anyway,
an
extra hour to come down and visit us in the Pine Barrens is a good excuse. The
plus
Barrens.
Plus it's a route that I'm relatively familiar with taking. So
right. It's been a while, right, since you've been down with us. So
it has.
So
and it's an excuse. It's an excuse to hit up Atlantic City too. So
there you go. Too bad your folks don't have the place in Cape May anymore.
Yeah. And there's been a couple of sightings there. So on the BFRO that you covered.
Oh yeah. And you know what? People wouldn't think that's the case, but there's everything they need. We talked about this: the quarries, the golf courses, the woods, the water. Food sources. It's all there. Is there going to be as many? No. And I know people have different opinions about populations and how many there are. I happen to think that New Jersey has more than people think, even though we're the highest population per capita of any state, really, in the country. Okay.
But that's the thing, though, about Jersey's population. Like 80% of it's pretty much condensed to that little northeast corner. Yep. And then, down the shore. The rest of it is pine barrens, farmland, and woods.
Sure.
So a lot of there's northwest, like look at northwest Jersey, for example, or like even like northern Jersey in general. It's literally all mountains and woods there.
I was looking at it last week. Went up there, and let me tell you, it's still got a lot of open space. It's funny. I took Heather on the way to the hotel. I took Heather through High Point, and it was cool because there was snow on the ground. All the trees had the ice on the branches, and it was glistening. It was just like a winter wonderland, right? So I actually turned around and went back so we could take some shots and play in the snow a little bit. But I went back to where I had the base camp. Okay. And unfortunately, the road where I recorded these terrific howls was closed because of the winter. They have the gates up. Okay. Right. But I was able to get to where the base camp was. And that was cool to kind of peek in,
Yeah.
But there they definitely have a higher population of the apex predator black bear.
Yeah, they do.
Which we don't have down here, So down here, if you hear something big, chances are it's not a bear, it's either a deer or a squatch.
Yeah. And the deer down in the Pine Barrens, like they don't even get that big. After we did the Allegheny in October 2020, we actually wound up going to Jersey for a weekend in November. And we poked around we poked around High Point. We went to Delaware. We went to a Delaware State Forest on the
river
PA side. Yeah, on the PA side, I got some interesting possible stuff. Nothing really worth, like, we got some interesting possible vocals and high points possible, but like nothing really worth nothing really worth showing off on a podcast or anything like that. But
hey, a bad night squatching still beats a good day working.
Yep, 100%.
So I'll tell you what, man, it's really good catching up with you though, because you got some good stuff going on, and those vocalizations are really impressive. I'm gonna let you know what I find out from Monongahela. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'll share with you the results we get from that. Yeah.
Did you get a chance to listen to the other two? I got back in January. I sent those two as well. If you want to.
You had sent them to me previously, had you not? I thought.
No, these I don't think I sent you.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, the ones I previously sent you were the sugar one and the June one from PA. These here are the most recent ones.
So honestly, I just saw your email before we went on.
Okay.
So I have not yet listened to those. I definitely will. I was out with Heather, like I said, getting the stand for this case, prior to going on tonight, and she talked me into getting her dinner. So I got back in just enough time to get the studio set up.
Gotcha. All right.
But I think the two that we have is enough to share with the audience for tonight. You know what I mean? Only for the simple fact that, again, it involves some greater editing skills than I possess.
Right. Yeah, I keep on. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Forgot that. So. Yeah, you try to keep it an hour or two.
And the fact, that I'm still learning how to go about doing all this clipping and inserting and stuff like that. But
if you have any questions or need any help, I could definitely hook you up with our video guy Brendan. He could definitely
No, that'd be awesome.
That ass. And any questions you ever have, just give me a call.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm using antiquated equipment as well. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
That doesn't help, of course.
Right.
But as Dixie, my friend Cameron at Dixie Cryptid said, when you get started into this biz, you want to do it for as little as possible. Right? As little expenditure as possible is what he said. So
I just feel like the spending aspect, it's almost like an inevitability though, because you wind up getting, you wind up investing in just equipment, then whenever you travel, that's always going to cost much. So
sure. Well, that's why I do the expeditions. That's why I do the expeditions for the BFRO, because that kind of helps offset some of the cost. You know what I mean? So it allows me to justify taking 4 days off from my store to go take people out into the woods, right? And getting the gear to demonstrate these things, I don't know if I showed you or not, but one of my recent episodes, we talked about the molds we made. Okay. So here's the Pine Barrens mold. Okay. So this is now a tool I can use on expeditions with the attendees. So in the event that we don't find a track in the ground, right?
Well, at least I had to cast one.
I no longer have to dig with my shovel and get the soil loose enough so I can make an impression, right? And risk breaking another cast, right?
Yeah.
This is how it looks in the ground.
Yeah.
This is what a track impression looks like.
You got the mid-tarsal break right there.
Actually told me, he said, hey, this is a great teaching tool. So instead of having to dig something up, I can just lay this on the ground and demonstrate. You know how I teach people, if it's nighttime, how to see the details with the headlamp. You put it down on an angle to see the shadows.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yep, okay. I still use that tactic.
There you go. But this is the one from the Pine Barrens. You can see the leaves and everything in the detail. It's amazing how good it came out.
You can see the mid-tarsal break too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And on the cast itself too. Now on the cast, because it broke into 50 pieces, and I had to glue it all back together, right, on the original, I actually poured some extra casting material on the back while it was in the mold to strengthen it.
Oh, okay.
So it's a little thicker than it was originally, but that's okay.
Yeah, as long as the details are intact, right?
And I'm gonna make some new ones using the mold. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so that I'll have an intact one that I can bring with me to the expeditions to show to the attendees. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, even Dr. Meldrum said I can use the Walla Walla cast mold that I made and present it to an attendee for winning the trivia contest. So that's pretty cool of him, to say, I don't want you banging out 50 track casts and showing up at a convention near me,
Right.
But I don't mind you making a cast for one of your winners. So I thought that was really generous of him,
I'm sure.
I'm glad I asked.
I'm sure you could definitely get him to come on one of your expeditions too one of these days.
Hey, I don't know. It's not as enticing as taking an Alaska boat trip,
Oh yeah, you saw that, the Alaskan crew.
Yeah. I think David Polides is going on that.
Yeah, as well. Dave Polides. Yep.
Another guy, I forget his name, but hey.
Yeah, there's a couple of notable names on there.
I'm not a cruise guy. I don't like being trapped on a boat. You know what I mean? I'd rather get to my destination and then be able to, freewheel it around,
Yeah.
But I can just only imagine being a speaker on one of those events, though, and being trapped on the ship with all these people knocking on your door at 3 a.m. Hey, Dr. Meldrum.
I was going to say, especially.
Right?
because you can't go anywhere.
You're trapped.
No, that's true.
But hey, this has been great. We'll have to do it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
definitely.
I'm sorry we never managed to hook up with you guys before when we were talking about the three of us coming on when Brian was still doing it with us. But
yeah. I'm sure we
Yeah.
could probably. I'm sure. I definitely love to have you. Have you guys on with like a This Week in Bigfoot segment in the future.
Sure. Be happy to do it,
Definitely.
And just to take care of some real quick business, we want to thank our friends at Yeti Bars, YetiBars.net. We just had our own Squatch Talks podcast bar come out. So thank you to Tyrell and Eli, the Yeti brothers back at their lair. I'll tell you what, I've been using the Yeti bar, the Squatch Talks podcast Yeti bar, as a matter of fact, to stay clean like a beast, right? And it's got this little fine red cedar shavings in it. I'll tell you, man, my skin feels all exfoliated and tingly. It's great stuff, and it kind of smells like aqua velva. So remember to use code STP10 at checkout. And hey, if you don't like STP10, you can use DC10, you can use BB10. There's a whole bunch of codes. They're working with a few of us, different podcasters. So go support our friends over at Yeti Brothers. And thanks to our friends at Black Rifle Coffee Company for keeping us supercharged. I was just talking with Lake's Coffee today. They're nearby local coffee brewery. And we're going to have our own Squatch Talks podcast coffee coming soon. That's in the works, so stay tuned. And Mike, don't ask me if it's here. Not you, Mike, the other Mike. It's not here yet, but you will know when. So lots of exciting things happening here. And I mean, after last, 2 weeks with Jeff Meldrum on, that was just amazing. I was so blown away by how much fun we had talking to Dr. Meldrum, So if you haven't seen that, I'm going to put a little cue card up here for you to go check that out. All right. And give us a share and a like. And if you're listening to it on the podcast platform, give us a follow and a rating if possible. Greatly appreciated. It helps us grow the channel. So, and be sure to go over and check out Mike's group, CARC, and Universal, CARC Universal, right?
Yep.
At This Week in Bigfoot. So, Mike, thanks for being our guest tonight, and
I appreciate it.
Thanks for squatching.
I had a blast.
Me too.
What do you think it is, but if you don't mind me asking, the Jersey Devil, what do you think it could be explained as? I think it's one of those. Have you seen those moosehead bats
from Africa?
Yeah, I think
if it's anything, I feel that's what it could be.
Yeah, like I know that they're apparently they're supposed to be like pretty small. I think though.
Well, they're fairly large. I mean, fairly large creatures, but
the moosehead bats.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were tiny.
So no, I think they're bigger than that. Yeah. However, would they be able to exist in the winter months? That's what I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the reason I'm not a believer in the JD aspect is simply because you talk to different eyewitnesses and they each have a different description.
Yeah.
That's the thing that gets me. And Art, my friend Art, also started out as a Jersey Devil researcher, and by doing all this research, and he came up with this, like, hey, they're all different. If there's any consistency, then maybe. But I said this to a guy at the event on Saturday. I said to the guy who was, Piney Strong, or I forget what it was, and his son or nephew, I forget who it was the illustrator for this book. And the image, right as he opened up this image of the Jersey Devil, I said, oh, it looks like that bat that you just referenced.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the moosehead bat?
Yeah, something like that.
Right?
I don't think that's the exact name of it, but like
it sounds good though. Hey, at this point in the investigation, we would consider this we would refer to this as a fiber.
As a yes.
I said that to Jeff, and he's like, "I said that." I was like, "Yeah, you said that." But no, seriously, like, would it be able to exist? No. And so my explanation to this guy at the event was that people are wrapping their minds around the Jersey Devil folklore because what they're seeing is an 8-foot tall individual screaming at them with red glowing eyes. And if it's raising its arms like this and the hair is hanging down 7 or 8 inches long, it could appear to be wings.
Yeah.
Especially, you know what I'm saying?
For a few seconds, yeah.
Yeah. So that's my thought. Again, will I know this? Not until I'm out there and I actually experience it for myself.
And people who see stuff flying, like, there's a lot. I know there's a lot of like big wingspan owls. Like there's a lot of like, like big wingspan owls out there, cranes and stuff like that, herons, stuff like that. And if you see something out of context, like when you see something that like you perceive as scary or afraid of, it appears bigger. So throw that in, throw in, you probably want to see this thing like get like a glimpse of it. You have your mind run wild. Yeah, I could see how people, people definitely like go to.
And in these parts, that's where their mind goes, to the JD.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Up in North Jersey, it's big red eye. You know. So hey, who knows? I'm not, like I told you before, I don't put anybody down or their beliefs. Mm-hmm. They're entitled to think whatever they like. But until I see it for myself, I'm going to stick with the Bigfoot explanation because that's what I've experienced.
Yep, for sure.
Right?
Yeah, so. It's just fascinating, this whole field, the rabbit holes you go down and everything like that.
But had I known you were such a fan, I would have said, man, you got to spend more time with us down in the Barrens. Then you might have your own experience,
Like, yeah, I know I've definitely brought it up in passing before in like conversation with us, but I don't think we've ever gotten into like this much detail about it.
No, I don't think so.
No, it's like a special place for me too, because of that.
Totally.
My first expedition being there, so.
But you know how it is though. When you're organizing these things, you got a bunch of different, new people on. It's tough to get together with everybody as much as you'd like to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you said, you took off on that last night because you wanted to go down and see family. Remember? Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, hey, we'll make up for it.
For sure.
Cool, bro. So hey, thanks for coming on.
And, I really appreciate you guys having me on. I had a blast.
We'll have to do it again. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. What's happening, brother?
Nothing much.
Nothing much.
Same shit, different day.
That's good. I like the suspenders. It's a good look for you.
Yeah, it keeps my pants up.
Yeah, as long as we don't get you standing up too much, we'll be good. What do you think? Huh?
Yeah, looks good.
I gotta stand. Mm-hmm. And that this weighs a ton.
That's thick.
That's the mid-tarsal break. And you can see the toes real clear. Mm-hmm. Right? See them? Look at the detail on that puppy.
Yeah. Working on a hell of a headache here, so.
The top. Try to eat it in the microwave.
Oh, that idea. I forgot all about that.
I figured as much.
I'm trying to forget about everything, so don't feel bad.
I know. I'm trying to I keep pulling you back in every time you try to get out.
Yeah.
Since we're going to be in town.
Right.
See, I have my ways. Sneak in. Got all day to do that.
No, I don't. That's the problem.
I know. I was being what? I sent you a list of things. Where is this place? Boyertown.
You're not the only one I don't talk to anymore. So.
Okay.
This week in Bigfoot news. Nate's not on the podcast anymore. Should we break that one? Look, made you laugh. If I do Santa Claus, I'm gonna have to do something about the mustache. That's for sure.
Breaking news! Breaking news!
Got chocolate milk.
Lee's podcast for Santa Claus run.
Yeah.
I'm drinking my vanilla espresso, courtesy of Black Rifle Coffee.
Got to get that on. At least do a quick thing with him. Yeah.
Right? Let's see. If I sit like this, and it looks like we're having a conversation. To your right. Just go like this. Perfect. That's beautiful. See how easy that is?
I'm gonna go get my glasses though. I don't have contacts in, so I'm kind of like squinting the whole time.
No worries. Take an aspirin. Call me in the morning.
Yeah.
And you turn that way.
Where my glasses are?
Can't see anything without my glasses. And we'll just listen to Mike tell his story.
Sounds good to me.
You ready? I'm gonna get the link. Might as well get the link and send it to Michael, right? Yeah, that's a good idea, Eric.
Yeah, that's better.
Cool. All right. I sent Mike the link. Oh, he sent me some audio files we can use too.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. 4 of them. I'm trying to avoid sugar, though. That's my thing right now. As you can tell.
That's right. Got to watch that sugar film.
I did. You told
It's
me about
terrible.
it. We watched it. It blew me away.
Yeah, it's gross, isn't it?
Yo, it freaked me out. And Heather.
Yeah.
Woo.
That's the worst drug on the planet.
No wonder Bigfoot likes Zag nuts so much.
Yeah. That's why they go after the cake and stuff.
Like she always says, don't leave chocolate, you know. Don't want to give him diarrhea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I might. DNA, right?
If it slows them down.
Yeah.
A lot of the habituations I heard from, they always said that they go after the sweets.
Yeah.
So, and I've seen deer fight over pancakes. So,
I bet that was cool. Cool to watch.
mm-hmm.
Oh man, you can see my light ring in the case.
Stupid light ring.
Can't see me either. Even better. Should we let him in?
Whenever you're ready.
I say this every time we have a guest. It's kind of like part of the blooper reel, you know. Hey, let's let him in. Beep beep. Somebody's honking. Hello.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, Mike.
How's it going?
How are you?
Better.
Definitely a long time. Well, definitely a long time. Let me do that part over. Sorry,
Long time listener, first time caller. So listen, I just wanted to get some small talk out of the way just to get us warmed up with one another. You know what I mean?
Oh, I
Everybody
thought we were just jumping into it. I was
No.
I thought we were doing like I thought we were going like Joe Rogan.
And I might use some of this stuff. Hey, you never know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It could make it into the bonus material section, or you know, some of the shit
there
I
we
say
go.
into the blooper material, right?
Yeah.
But
$20.
I'm gonna move my mic so I can sit back like this, and you can see my new case. How's that?
Show off the display of the
Right?
case. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I've
this
seen.
This is all great extra bonus material, by the way.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that a Jersey Devil jersey?
Yeah, I can find. Yeah, I can finally start. I can finally start representing my shitty hockey team.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Squatch Talks Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and give us a like, and stay tuned for more exciting stories on Squatch Talks.